What does peaking in life really mean? 3 days before his body gave out, a man climbed the highest peak of his life, not a mountain, a moment. When people called it his peak, he shook his head. The peak was the morning I understood I never had to climb again. We chase peaks our whole lives. Career peak, fitness peak, the final version of you. We're raised on the mythology of the mountaintop, confusing maximum output with meaning. Here's the dangerous question. What does it actually mean to peak? Is it a number? A year when everything worked? Or have we been measuring a summit with the wrong instrument? This is a recalibration. Because when you understand what a peak is from science and from the sages, your whole relationship with achievement, age, and meaning changes. The fear behind the click. You clicked because a clock is ticking. 24 and haven't made it. 38 and watching younger faces take your stage. 52 and wondering if you've peaked and missed the memo. We've been wired to see life as an ascent, a line going up. But a line that peaks has only one direction left after the top: down. If your peak is behind you, you grieve. If it's ahead, you live in not yet. So we need two teachers. Science, the study of top performers, and something older, the sages, who saw a peak beyond performance. What science says. We treat bell curves as destinies. My body's past its prime, so I've peaked. But that curve is just an average, and averages are where individual stories go to die. 3 truths. 1. Peaks are built, not discovered. They're the residue of deliberate practice, thousands of uncomfortable hours, and mastery has no age limit. The brain stays plastic far longer than we're taught. 2. The plateau is part of the peak. Growth has flat stretches where nothing moves, and almost everyone mistakes the plateau for the ending and quits. But plateaus are where growth consolidates. The people who peak are the ones who stay through the plateau. 3. Definition changes everything. If peaking means winning someone else's game, you're not chasing a peak, you're chasing a place in a queue. Define your own summit, and the finish line stops being a villain. Science can graph your primes and plateaus, but it can't tell you why to climb. That's the sage's question. The sage's revolution. There's a Bhakti master, a man of quiet devotion who overturns all this with one question. What's at the top? Every summit we chase, wealth, status, recognition, is a stand-in. You don't want the money, you want the feeling it promises. Every peak is a promise that keeps relocating. These are asymptotes of the soul. You approach forever, but the peace you hunger for recedes as fast as you advance. The reversal. The true peak points down, not up. Climbing inflates the ego, I did it. But the real summit is where the I dissolves, where you love so fully you forget to protect your reputation. That's a peak of another order. The highest point the self reaches by disappearing. That's why peak achievers feel empty. They conquered the small peak. The big one sits untouched. You can peak at the body and still be a beginner at the soul. And this rescues the aging. The world's story up, peak, descend isn't a life. It's a parabola of the ego. The sage's metaphor is a ladder. The upper rungs aren't for the young in their prime. They're for the matured, the softened. The old woman dissolving into love isn't past her peak, she's at it. The body is just the vehicle. Stake your worth only to the vehicle, and you've leaned your soul against a wall already dissolving. When do you actually peak? 2 peaks exist, and confusing them causes our anxiety. The performance peak, set by body, energy, opportunity, and the personhood peak set by surrender and letting go, never photographed, always climbing. The liberating truth. You're never past your life's peak, while the personhood peak is still ahead, reachable at 80, in a hospital bed, even in the last week of life. The parabola is a lie. The ladder keeps going. You peak the moment you stop wondering if you've already peaked. How to actually peak. 4 moves. 1. Refuse borrowed summits. Ask if I died tomorrow and no one remembered my title, what made it good? Define your mountain before the algorithm does. 2. Love the plateau. Quit or stay and call it a pilgrimage. 3. Move your identity from the vehicle to the person. Anchor to what ages? Well, patience, generosity, the ache for the divine. 4. Practice downward as hard as you practiced up. Release the grievance, the reputation, the need to be right. The true peak lives in surrender, in love that asks for nothing, the freedom on the other side. You stop treating life as a race. The hum of, "Am I enough yet?" goes quiet, because you were never meant to peak to prove something, but to become something. The performance peak still matters, but it becomes play instead of proof, and you're permitted to peak every single day today, fully surrendered. A life of tiny peaks of attention and love is compounding, not declining. The old man praying, the mother who shows up again, the engineer refining craft at 60. These aren't descendings. They're ascents to a summit the world took too long to name. The answer: peaking is the moment available to every soul when climbing becomes loving instead of proving. When you climb for the real, not the mirror, the peak was never the top of the world. It was the top of yourself. You've been asking when you'll peak. The oldest teaching asks differently. If the summit were surrender to the loving one, you've never been on the wrong side of your peak. You've only ever been arriving. Share this with someone who thinks their best years are behind them. They're not. The summit was waiting for them, for you, all along.